Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago. We are continuing discussions following the global discussion. Still, the world is reeling from the news that 41-year-old basketball icon Kobe Bryant died yesterday in a helicopter crash. He, along with his 13-year-old daughter, who was following in his footsteps, 9 persons in all. Ryan Bacher was out very early. I know the world of sport definitely shaken by this and what it means. Ryan, I know that news just constantly is changing. Investigations continuing into this crash.
Yeah, it'll continue for the next few weeks. There isn't any easy answer, and there's no easy way to find out what exactly went wrong. But you know, as we continue to talk about not only his legacy, but also his impact and the futuristic approach that he had for women's basketball and basketball, one of the best persons to talk to is Kibwe Trim, who's Trinidad and Tobagonian, and he also has been on the international scene. He joins us via Skype now. Kibwe, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Thanks a lot for joining us this morning. You know, your initial reaction when you heard the news that Kobe Bryant had passed away in this helicopter crash?
Man, honestly, I thought it was a joke, man. I thought it was fake news. I mean, I saw something on Instagram, and it was a TMZ report. And, you know, TMZ, not the most credible source. So I started Googling on the internet, looking on the internet, and couldn't really find anything. But shortly after, you know, news started I turned on the news and it was on CNN. So that's when it kind of became real.
You're 6 years younger than that of Kobe Bryant, but you would have played concurrently with his career, and you played in a lot of countries around the world. You also had a stint at the LA Clippers. What was that like, you know, playing alongside that career and watching the NBA and watching Kobe Bryant during his best days, and you yourself, you know, rising to the international standard of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, Kobe, you know, I mean, I live in LA, so Kobe is basketball in LA. So, you know, we would play in the summertime at UCLA, and I never played against him, but, you know, there would be like 3 or 4 courts going, and Kobe would come in sometimes, and he would be, you know, on one court, and you just kind of saw the tenacity, the grit, you know, I mean, Kobe was just basketball personified, you know, and he was the standard that, you know, everyone lived by and wanted to emulate.
Everybody talks about his basketball, and a lot of what is serviced over the last 24 hours is how hard he worked to be the best basketball player that he could be, to be the best of Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, like his work ethic is unrivaled. You know what I'm saying? I don't personally know, you know, I've never personally worked out with him one-on-one or anything like that, but throughout the years, that's, you know, I have a lot of friends who connected with him, and you'd hear about the hours he put in, you hear about, you know, the time he spent, and it was just like, this guy is really eating, living, and breathing basketball, and wanted to make sure that he was at the top of his craft at all times.
What is the city of Los Angeles like this morning, overnight, last night? Well, you know, what's the mood like there?
I mean, it's still, I feel like people are still in shock. Like people, I mean, me personally, I still have moments where I'm like, no, this didn't really happen. There's a black cloud hanging over LA right now. I mean, this is Kobe's city, you know, so it'll probably take a really long time to heal, man. I mean, this news is crazy.
You know, let's talk a little bit about his impact and his legacy that he leaves behind for the sport of basketball. What legacy do you think Kobe Bryant leaves behind?
I mean, one of the best to ever do it. I remember the first basketball game, professional game I ever went to in the States was a Laker game. And, you know, I was there, I got front row seats organized for me, and I sat there looking at the game. My aunt took me, and after the game, she looked at me, she's like, man, what happened? Why didn't you enjoy the game? I'm like, what do you mean, why didn't I enjoy the game? Why do you feel like I didn't enjoy the game? She's like, you didn't see a word the whole game. I didn't see a whole word because I was mesmerized, man. Like, this guy was just incredible, you know what I'm saying? One of the best to ever do it. So that's the legacy he leaves behind, and I think his name will still live on. And when people talk about basketball and basketball greatness, Kobe Bryant will always be in the conversation.
Did he have any personal influence on your own career? Watching him as he mesmerized you on the sidelines?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just that drive to be the best, that drive to put in all the work, that drive to do things that nobody else is doing. I mean, you always kind of knew that, listen, if you're trying to be great, like, this is what somebody who's great does. So it kind of keeps you on your toes, and it kind of keeps you from taking days off, because somebody like Kobe, there's no days off, there's no minutes off. So it keeps you driven and motivated.
What do you think are the lessons, perhaps the most important lessons that Kobe Bryant has left for the future of the game, for those, the Kawhi Leonards of this world that will look to now fill his boots?
Man, just a relentless competitor. Give it all you can every day that you can while you're here. More importantly, it sounds cliche, but live every day like it's your last, because who would have dreamed to wake up with news like this?
There's a whole host of Trinidad and Tobago, young Trinidad and Tobagonian boys who love basketball. There was actually the men's invitational championships, the national championships that took place last night. Something like this can not only, disappoint and hurt, but it can also seek to inspire Kibwe, another generation of basketballers who now look at Kobe Bryant, who may not have had the chance to watch him. But this, on all of this sadness, can also inspire another generation of basketballers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, some of the younger players now, they might not have been able to see his career like we did, but now with all this stuff coming out, and they're going to be seeing on the news, and they probably get more of an idea of what kind of man on and off the court he was, and it's definitely an inspiration. There are numerous different facets to Kobe as a player and as a man. So for sure, any kid coming up now, that would be a model to emulate.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because he also did so much for women's basketball, so much for the women's NBA. We know that, Gianna was this phenomenal prodigy when it comes to women's basketball. Can you talk us through about, his impact on the women's game after he had dominated the men's game?
Yeah, well, Kobe having 4 daughters and, kind of pouring his life into his daughters after, I guess, that was maybe a clicker for him, and, he wanted to, help his daughters and, on a bigger scale, help women. And, he set up the Mamba Academy, and he was very hands-on with his daughter and, women's teams across the country and globally. I guess that, that was something that, was really fulfilling for him. And, the WNBA is not on the same stage as the NBA here, but, we just saw recently that they're raising salaries and stuff. And, I'm sure Kobe and his influence on the women's game had a lot to do with things like that.
You talk about that off-court aspect of Kobe Bryant's, life. He was flourishing in it. His entrepreneurial skills, the businesses that he was opening, the deals, the brand of Kobe Bryant. That was a significant lesson for so many others who are now in his, really following. You've got, you've got Dennis Rose, you've got Steph Curry, you've got LeBron James to a lesser extent. These guys now have a platform where they can really, Derrick Rose, that is, they can actually follow in his footsteps and make a brand out of their own NBA careers.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So much of what he's done, it is very inspirational. Like, myself, I launched my nonprofit because I wanted to give back and do work. And if you see these items I have here, the Lakers actually, they supported my last nonprofit event. They gave me a signed basketball from Contavious Caldwell Pope, a signed jersey from Lonzo Ball. So, guys like us, we look at these things and it's a great standard, and it kind of encourages you to do the same. So, man, it's a blow, but at the same time, it makes you really stop and think of the greatness that was Kobe all around, and how, deeply felt he was and what he brought to the game.
You know, you had a stint at the Clippers, and then last night the Dallas Mavericks releasing a statement that they will retire the number 24 jersey as well. You know, and the Clippers is the direct city rivals to the Los Angeles Lakers, but, you know, he garnered the respect of so many even of his rivals, of his sporting opponents. He garnered so much respect from them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way not to respect that man. You know what I mean? That man was a winner, fierce competitor, philanthropist. I mean, you have to. You have to respect greatness. There's no way not to. You know what I mean? And be a champion. I mean, revered all across the world. You have to give respect where it's due.
Listen, Kibwe Trim, we really appreciate you joining us from Los Angeles this morning. Thank you very much, and we'll continue to keep in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a great one. Trinity to the bone. You don't know. One love.
Thank you very much. Ames?
Brian, I want to thank you, and I know that this has been, I mean, for any sports fan, I keep telling everyone that you do not have to be a basketball fan to understand the magnitude of the loss that the world witnessed yesterday. The outpouring of love, support, and the questions that surround the death of this LA Lakers superstar. And I see that Magic Johnson released a statement to CNN earlier this morning. If you were around in 2016 when Kobe retired and his jerseys were lifted, Magic Johnson was the man on the court who basically gave all of the tributes and introduced the video. And it was, I think in his exact quote to CNN, he says, "I thought that Kobe would live forever." An emotional day for the NBA, but seeing also the fact, and you asked about the younger players, Steph Curry, and all of the other players that look on to him, but LeBron James, I think, obviously feeling it so much more than a lot of people as well in terms of the fraternity, because the last tweet, his last interaction with the public was praising LeBron James. So